Hello. Oh, there we are. Funny start. Google's playing with me here. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Broiler Chicken Show. It's the end of a very long day for me here, so I'm not going to be too overly excited here. Probably just go through the motions. There was somebody in particular on the site that asked me to look at a few names, and I thought actually I'd probably just take the opportunity through this show and go ahead and just look at a few of these names for them. Getting funny messages on my phone. Okay, so this person wanted me to look at the list. I think I'm just going to go through them. You know, it's kind of like what we do on the Coinage show. And I'm just going to list them off here and just go through and tell you if I wanted to be a buyer, where would I be buying this thing? Where you're long, really, that's irrelevant to me. I'll just simply tell you where I am long or where I would be long. And if I did own it, what I'd be thinking now. So, first on the hit list is BYC. Been in this name quite a long time. I bought into this guy. Well, I guess interesting. This guy really hasn't done a hell of a lot, has he? BYC is this Bite Center? Bite Cent. Yeah, what a funny little name. This guy should basically get going. Only $1 million out. 400,000 market cap. Seem to remember I've gotten some doubles off here though, so I do have free positions. And what's interesting is, you know, this is 7,500, and this rally peak is 17,000. We actually got as high as 28,000. So if you did get long off of this 7,000 area, I think there's a lot of money to be made here. I really wouldn't have a problem actually just going and buying some here. This actually isn't that bad of a name. The issue, of course, here, it's only listed on one exchange. And you always have to be worried about if these guys are too low liquidity and BitterX decides to pull sort of an attitude. You might find that, that this thing might be subject to a delisting. So, you know, it is the vulgarities of venture capital, and it's sort of the subtlety about trading crypto. Is we have to be cognizant of these exchanges and the considerable power that they wield over this space. So if anything, if I'm like shopping, hunting for ideas, that would be a bit of a warning sign that it's only on one exchange. I'm not quite sure what kind of volumes it's doing. Yeah, pretty respectable volumes. So I don't think you have to be worried too much in the short term about delistings. But it's always a consideration. Risk-wise, I have no problem whatsoever taking stabs here. And the interesting thing is even just counter trend rallies up into here, you should be able to, you know, that's 10,000 there. A double is just simply a test of those highs. You know, reload zones, all that kind of fun stuff. If I wanted to be a buyer, probably a good idea to draw your fibs and go hunting as soon as we get into acceptable trade location. So, gee whiz, here we are. You know, we just had that major face rip. You can see there are holes in the charts up top. I really wouldn't have a problem if anybody, you know, little old lady who just went and took a nibble on this. You know, wait for a little bit more market structure to help you frame your trade, fine. But you can kind of see that they don't really like to put in polite, you know, nice bottoms. They're pretty nasty looking bottoms. So really wouldn't surprise me. You know, work your stink bids and just be patient. Upside, you know, this, you know, really, if anything, this is a perfect analogy that there's a world of money to be made on something like this. You just got to be darn patient. You know, this is basically a year. You know, we often say the longer the channel, the bigger the run. So in essence, this thing's just sat here for a year. Really interesting. Well, and that's just it, right? Shane says not really that much interest out there. There's only 1.6 million out, and only has a market cap of 400,000. So if you believe that this thing's going to survive, and it might even be a case of just going and downloading the hard wallet, right, or the cold storage wallet, or whatever you want to call it, and just simply, if Bitrex decides to play some games, just go and own the coins on your own. You're definitely not walking into a trap here, so that's good. So really, I don't have a problem with that one. You want to own it? It's fine by me. Work your orders at double your purchase price, and just sit back and let your money work for you. NAUT, I've been buying in here, this nice little W in here. I do see technically a bit of a distribution going on right now. They're washing the momentum out. We all know the story of this guy. If you don't know the story, do yourself a favor and go look this up. Notorious for his pumps. If I can buy in against the bottom end of the range, I'm just going to go in, buy it, and not worry about it. I did get filled yesterday, I guess. Interesting that they just put in a nice little inside bar reversal today. I wouldn't have a problem buying in here. And I did. There you go. PIVX. All right, a little bit pricey up here. We played the bullish bot, took the trade up top. It's kind of waffly here a bit. Certainly, I don't have any trades set up here per se. And if anything, this guy's going to be trading along with Dash. So the question ultimately here is, what's Big Brother doing? And you can see the similarity. I was talking with somebody earlier today about this. If anything, this is an interesting analogy of what I think you ought to expect in crypto over the next few months. If we look at names like, and this is a daily chart, so just keep reference to this, right? And then this. If we look at something like Ethereum right now, we can see that Ethereum is going through this, right? That part right there. Exactly the same as Dash. Man, this thing's probably going to do the same sort of thing that Dash is doing right now. And I see a lot of this in the market. It's kind of like Dash is about maybe 2 or 3 months ahead of everybody else. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is exactly what you all should expect on a lot of these other names as they go through this bottoming process. Very normal. In this particular case, you can see that we have a bullish bot setting up here, taking us up into here if you want to risk against these lows. I think PIVX has something similar to that working. A little bit sloppy, and this is probably more than 66, so I don't know. That's a tough one. And as we said, we played the bot heading up into here. I don't know, nothing. Honestly, the way I look at something like this is the trade's over, the story's over. It's already done. This was the place to make your fortune. Right now, it's just going to go through a ton of backfilling. Now, there was one that did sort of the same sort of thing a couple of years ago, really, and it's still in the process of backfilling. Can you see the similarities to Dash here? Big run up, right? And they all seem to do that when they get really popular. Big run up. This one had a little bit of a pullback and then moved to new high. And then once that sort of rally has exhausted itself, you have to go through a long period of consolidation. I kind of get the feeling that's sort of what I'm thinking the altcoin space needs to do over the next year or two, is something along these lines. And, those apt traders out there, there should be lots of opportunities to swing trade this back and forth. Kind of like I think we did that a little bit in here recently. Does the Dash play out that way? Tough to say. I suppose I could see another push higher here. It's taking a little bit long. But at some point, you got to understand with Dash, right? It went sideways for an awfully, awfully long time. Maybe we push up here, create a range, and do the same thing. Again, kind of like PIVX, kind of like Dash, same sort of thing. I'd say the majority of this bull is already behind us. It was interesting when I was talking with a tutorial earlier today. We were looking at this bot potential setup. You got to understand that at these lofty prices, these absolute numbers are huge. In essence, that's 50% of the asset's price. This really means is you can't just go throw 50% of your portfolio at this thing, or you could get absolutely bitch slapped. You better make sure that the risk on the trade is like, less than 5% of your portfolio. Hold on. That's a bit loud down there, right? Somebody's broadcasting their conversation to the Orient for the entire neighborhood. So in this particular case, I mean, the gentleman that I was talking to, and I don't really see the same on PIVX, but if Dash pushes higher, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, and that's actually a good point, right? Is PIVX Dash, what are they going to do going forward? No, I think a lot of the reason why Dash was leading is because they had a big spokesperson that people actually were interested in looking at. And from what I understand, she's no longer part of the story. Well, the old adage, right? Sex sells. Just the twins. That would be hilarious. All right, next on the block. So would I be buying any Dash right here? Frankly speaking, no. I mean, we're long from on the site. We're long from down these levels down here. In my opinion, the story's over. I suppose if you wanted to trade it, like I said, you could trade these setups, but the really big money, I think, for the time being is behind us. That was the big push right there. Only time will tell. You never know. And that is a 3-to-1. So, if you're interested. Like I said, the PIVX, though, it corrected a bit too much. I don't know what the fundamental story is, but this correction was too deep. If anything, I think this is stuck in a trading range right now. It's pretty wide range, too. All right, INCNT. Let's see what we got next. Boosh. Well, if you load a chart like this, what you got to understand is there really hasn't been enough time for us to really get a solid impression of if the market forces, supply and demand, are really at work here. Suppose if we zoom this chart in and get rid of that crazy first bar, then this is sort of what we get. I took a little nibble off of these lows the other day, but as you can see, doesn't look like there's much traction here. So if anything, this is a really good analogy of why we want to wait for W's, right? I mean, we had this sort of one here, worked its way up into a reload zone, and then just fell apart. And now we have a really big M working here. Not a very happy chart, no doubt about it. And, we have to be cognizant of this low, but, these new issue lows, that's probably not real. Let's see, we got here. Yeah, 4 hours. So, the loss of this level is not technically good, to put it mildly. So, is there any bottom working here just yet? No. And frankly speaking, I wouldn't be surprised. It almost looks like we can start doing extension targets. The problem with doing extensions to the downside is we might go beyond 0, which is never a good sign. One way you can deal with that is change your scale to log scale. So now when we do this, and what you'd really like to do is just simply have these look symmetrical. So if we go boom and boom, and watch what happens to the line when I zoom it down, see that? So you're gonna have to adjust this manually to try and align those up. Boom, 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 and it's roughly right. So somewhere down in here, geez, that wouldn't surprise me. 500 sats, somewhere like that. Not a pretty picture. That looks like he's pretty ill. I don't really see any great bull here. If anything, I'm going to be sitting on this little nibble for a while here. But, am I like, oh, got to sell it, get out of there, dump it. No, not at all. In fact, probably what I'll do is as soon as I see some sort of half decent W come in, I'll probably go add some more, all right? Because I always like to try and make sure I never, ever go and just, you know, shoot the whole 5% on the first trade. Never do that. So I think on balance, I think the purchase is about maybe 1.5%, something like that. So I've got lots and lots of wiggle room to add if I wanted to. And I don't see any bottom there yet, so just a big hurry up and sit on your hands. Next up, we have LBC. Well, you know, you can see the W. I think if I'm not mistaken, we're long from basically the W. Selling doubles on the way up, boom, 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 boom. If anything, we ran into resistance testing these highs. And you could probably do a fib heading back down. Oops, that's if the chart will cooperate. And oh. There we go. So coming back down into reload zone area, I wouldn't be surprised if this original bottom actually sets up off like that 88. I think it's 88.6. Can't remember the fib just off the top of my head. Is it 88.6? I think so. Sounds about right. Yeah, so can you guys see how the double bottom here, the market structure actually sets up off the 88.6 there? You notice all those lows. Cute little tail right in there. Anybody see that tail right there? This is probably where she wants to and needs to go. All right, right against that low there. So could I buy it here? No. It is in a reload zone, so I mean, it's not like you're walking into a trap. For me to like, all right, this is it, man, got to load up. I mean, really what I'd like to see is a little more time, right? Just let this thing settle down and just calm down, right? Something like that would be perfect. But I wouldn't be surprised. You know, we could probably do dead cat bounces. Oops. Back up top. And probably just in the short term, good old 38.2 is probably going to stop the bull in its tracks. So I could very easily see dead cat bounces right up against these lows, these previous highs, right into here. And if you did buy this up top, I think probably not a bad idea to hop if we got a dead cat bounce up into that area. Kind of like too late to buy, right? You were supposed to be a buyer down in here. Too early to buy here and too late to sell. Kind of stuck in no man's land right now. Too early to get really too bullish going forward, and too late to sell. Boo, this is boo. And, you know, going forward, I think everybody hopefully, can you see this beautiful M up here? So I think the market told you, you know, what do we say? If you ever see the market smiling at you, what's going to happen? Up, down, up. Yeah, pretty cute. And it's actually done it a few times here, right? Up, down, up, up, down, up. Look at all these smiles. Smiley, smiley, smiley. Encouraging to see that we're finally starting to get some signs of a turn here. But until 38.2 is actually resolved, I think we're stuck in a range down in here for the next little while. And you'll probably know that this thing's starting to crap out and ready to really test these lows as soon as this trend line is broken. So just keep an eye on that. I wouldn't even be surprised if we come back right against this line right now. Well, it's pretty straightforward. And if we break that trend line, put in some structure, another M kind of thing, then get ready for more dump. Yeah, kind of caught in no man's land. Okay, XBB. Oh boy, I think this is that little BitB, isn't it? XBB. Who is this? This is XBB. Oh, it didn't say who this is. Okay, so this isn't that BitB. It's something else. Well, actually, this one I don't mind. You know, this reminds me of that BYC NAUT, basically buying against the lows. If you paid up here, tisk tisk, bad mistake. You know, if you were looking at this and going, well, gee whiz, where do I buy? There is our reload zone. So we came back down into it briefly, and that's probably what that last one that we looked at did, come down into the reload zone, dead cat bounce straight up. We've come back down, washed these lows. You can see where the line in the sand is. You can see the original structure here. That's probably key support right against all those lows there. So, you know, buying actually in this area is not bad. I don't know whether I'd pay this price up here. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. You can see they left a juicy little wick here, or tail, excuse me, right against this hard low. So that's a cute little trade location right in there. So really, I don't mind that. That's not a bad looking little coin. Looks expensive. All right, let's see what it says here. 2.6 million? That's not really too much. I mean, you do see that 1.3 billion? No, that, my friend, is expensive. So, $2 million market cap? 6.5 dozen the other. Not a bad area down in here. What else we got here? RLC. Actually, this is one that I was noticing on the charts. Looks kind of cute here. Again, you know, when you see this kind of action, you just take a little bit of a jaundiced eye, right? Does it really have enough data for me to make a clear decision about? I do like the fact that they put in this nasty tail. Then they came down and they actually put in a hard close off of that tail. So we'll know that this thing is for real if it can get its butt back up above here. This, in my opinion, will be a tentative bottom, because if we change this to a line chart, you'll notice that's a V bottom there. If we're lucky, we can rally back up into here, pull back against these lows, make a nice little head and shoulders, and away we go. So this is kind of like that INCT chart that we looked at, though. You can see the bottom that they put in here, and it rallied up nicely. Hopefully 25 up to 46. You couldn't even get a double off of it. So, you know, if anything, this is probably another lesson that when we see charts that have just come out of the gate, we're probably best just to let them settle down, let them just consolidate. I can understand people are like, hey, there's a bottom, there's a bottom. And if anything, boom, they've gone and busted that low. It is interesting how the highs here correspond with those lows there. So you can really see this is the line in the sand, all right? No guarantees whatsoever that any of these levels are going to hold. We're just purely playing supply and demand. If you traded this, and let's say you trade the double bottom of this fractal or whatever, and you took more than, you know, let's say 3, 4, 5% risk on your portfolio, then if we fail here, you're probably best just to get out. Just so everybody's aware what I did, I've been buying, nibbling. I think I'm up to maybe about 1.5% of our stake into this thing. Not a hell of a lot of money. And I'll little old lady nibble my way. It might take 6 months for us to actually see the W. And, you know, a lot of level oneers and new students, I just say, you know, you want to make your life easy. You don't necessarily have to go down this road. There will be a bottom that'll come in, and it'll be as plain as day. If you want to just make your life nice and easy, just look for weekly W's. No sign of a weekly W here anywhere in sight right now. So for all sort of keep it simple, stupid traders out there, There's no real reason to be too bullish here. Yeah, I would have bet. It's probably a lot of this kind of stuff, the Ethereum overhang, if you will. Okay, what the hell is okay? Okay, okay. Oh, that's not a bad looking chart. Of course, where you bought it, that's always the key here. I like the idea of being long off the bottom here. Beautiful, you know, reload zone pullback against these lows, double bottom. There's your level to be long. And, you know, repeated dips against those lows, right? These are all your buying opportunities. Buying, 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 buying. I suppose you could have bought this little W here if you were so inclined. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they left some gaps down here, but you can clearly see where you're supposed to be long. Up here, nah, nothing really to write home about. I suppose you could argue we're probably coming down into mountain man levels. Yep, there's mountain man, doink, 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 right? Very volatile. This would be when we had a guy, student Ian, who's just trading bazillions of trades off of intraday, like 5-10 minute charts. He might be able to have some fun banging coin back and forth here. It looks like we got like, you know, 3,500 your low. Should it surprise us that 7,000 is your high? Looks like you probably could have gotten a few doubles off on this. I don't know. I mean, for a guy like me, I'd much rather wait for it to come back down into this support area here. You need a big hat. All right. All right, next on the hit list, NMR. This one I was a little surprised to hear that this thing was actually pre-mined. It's just never a good thing to hear in crypto. They didn't call it pre-mine, they called it some other bullshit name. And, you know, the sad part about what we have to understand in this game, guys, is there really aren't any experts. I mean, people will blow smoke up your ass saying they are experts. I haven't met any crypto experts yet. I've met a lot of people. Yeah, that's Julian. I think it's Julian. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. Might be Seward. Seward sometimes jumps on that user name. But anyway, and I found this a little bit odd. In that, you know, and me, typically, I like to just simply go in and nibble against lows. It's what I like to do. Strategy work seems to work fairly well most of the time, but I would even say probably about 10% of the coins that I've bought in the crypto portfolio are gone. They're disappeared. Poof. So please understand, this is venture capital, guys, and sometimes you're going to take a punch in the nose. It's just the way this game goes. That's why we build all the rules about risk management and stuff. I don't mind taking shots off of the lows here, real little old lady style. Do we have, but you know, the message probably is going to start sounding awfully repetitious and kind of nauseating. Does anybody see any signs of a weekly W there yet? Do we have any signs of a daily W yet? Let alone a weekly. So, I mean, yes, I'm in there nibbling, but that's just Brian's nibble strategy. I like to buy against lows, but we don't have any, you know, hard anecdotal evidence that this is the bottom. My hunch is it's probably going to take a good 6 months or so to ultimately turn. Maybe not 6 months. If we're lucky, we'll probably get some sort of dead cat bounce into candles. You can see that, you know, because we bought down here, just to rally into the 20,000s gives us a nice double. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if I am on the sell side here, but would I recommend this to, you know, Joe Sixpack just walking down the street? Hey, you want to buy a cryptocurrency that you're going to make money on? Here you go. Yeah. I think it's kind of a coin toss at this point. if we start putting in our W's, right, and we start seeing momentum divergences and the volume pouring in, then the story changes. But for now, excuse me, for now, I'm long. I'm not going anywhere. I bought some, probably won't buy any more for the next while. And got orders working to sell halves on doubles. And that's about the extent of it for me right now. And then next one, XRP. I do like the fact that quite a few on this list are actually in half decent buying locations. Whether you bought them through those locations, that's another thing altogether. Okay, 61.8, 78.6. So you can see we're coming down into sort of cleanup mode. XRP, is this Monero? Is that what XRP is? Can't remember. Ripple. Oh, I got it wrong. Sorry. $7.8 billion market cap. Oh boy, that's enough to give you a nosebleed. Lower lows here, so big technical failure there. A little bit of a fractal here, dead cat bounce. We were noticing a lot of these other bigger names are they just kind of felt like they just, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So not a big surprise to see these technical bounces. Can this fractal here take us someplace? I think only time will tell. We got, we just went through a long period of consolidation and failure. My hunch is, maybe we're in this kind of phase right now here. So we got to go through counter-trend rally, establish a high, come back down, test the lows, nice little consolidation, and then a bullish resolution, and away we go. Since we're not really trading against lows here, I can't really justify stink bids. And really, if I was going to work stink bids, I'd probably want to concentrate around Ian's 88.6 in here. All right. What's next on this list? PTOY. Here's another one of these new issues. Again, for the beginner coming into the market, is this, do we have any signs of a technical bottom here yet? No. I did like buying this because we own some of the some of the Cure, some of the Pink coin. There's one or two other ones that are in the medical community. Library credits technically is supposed to be. Scott says it's supposed to be big in 2018. And if anything, yeah, I could see that, right? If we just, this is about a month. I think, if we just think market symmetry, kind of looks to me like there's almost like a cadence to this, right? And maybe by the time the fall rolls around, we can start climbing the wall of worry again. But until we actually start putting in W's here, I really don't think there's, this is investment grade. As I'd said, I just went and took some nibbles off of these lows, and you can see I am taking heat right now here because this is incredibly small amount of our portfolio. I'm perfectly fine just sitting on the position. And you notice there's a cheeky little gap right up here. If anything, that's not a bad little objective to use as a profit-taking location. But this might take some time, no doubt about it. 91st, then 200 again. All right. Not quite sure what that means. Okay, AGRS. AGRS. Boom. Oh yeah, I remember this one. This is this crazy guy. And it just goes to show, I mean, if you go and watch the video of this guy, it's very odd. But, what do we care? We're here to make money from trading. Structure wasn't bad. The whole reason why I bought into this thing was because, this bottomy structure down in here. And we had a pullback against those lows, and we were kind of fortunate we got off some nice trades here. The problem at this point is that now that this pump is done and all this technical criteria that we were looking for up, now that it's done, I honestly believe this thing really, the guy, you got to go listen and watch this guy's video, right, to understand what I'm talking about. He's a bit of a character. Was this a pump and dump kind of thing? It could have been. All right, this is crypto. I don't mind the idea of buying against these lows, but I could very easily see what I do notice is after they have their big pumps like this, it might take a good few months for this thing to unwind all the people that bought up here, tisk tisk, and redistribute those coins, because all these buyers up here, they all have to be sort of sucked out of the market. So I think that's the process that we're going to go through now. You see a cheeky little gap right here, so 16,000 looks like a resistance level. Don't really see any other gaps, and I also don't like the fact that this thing M topped here. So I guess the way I look at this is I think this story's done for now. You can see how when they M topped it up here, we had to go through this process. I think that's kind of what you should be expecting. In fact, you could probably take the date of whatever this was. I got that around here somewhere. There to there. Right, from full start to full stop. And this cycle probably looks something along that line. Interesting how this was basically midpoint. This was all front end loaded. You might have to go through all the way out here until mid-September. And that would make sense too, because I'm hearing that there's fundamental raw reasons for us to get excited about Ethereum heading into October. We just went through a massive face rip rally on all these altcoins. There's a whole bunch of people that are caught up top. It's going to take a long time to slowly wash them out. And we literally have to get them to the point where they hate crypto. They'll never buy another Bitcoin again in their lives. Dear Brian, can we also look at CHC? It has a nice story to it over the last week as well. All right, Max. Let's see what you got here. Max, is that like, oh, Juby and Yobit? Well, you know, you just, oh, that's your name. How can you tell Brian's tired? I'm exhausted, guys. I don't know whether I can. I'll probably go through half of this list, and I think we'll just call it a day. I'm just absolutely exhausted here, guys. I'm trying to deliver, and I'm trying to justify you guys your faith in me. But I'll tell you, I'm running out of steam here. Well, I mean, Shane, what do you think? Can I go buy this here? Yeah. Yeah, it's a great looking chart. My problem is that you missed the boat. There goes Julie. I can see Isaac up on the bar. He's making some sweet ass margaritas, but there they go. Right? I should go rest or get a big hat. Okay. Give me your money instead. All right. So Max, I appreciate that you're euphoric and really rah about this, but there isn't a trade here. It's gone. If anything, if you did buy in here, right, you should be banging out doubles and drinks are on you. Does that make sense, Max? All right. Appreciate your participation. And of course, next time, tell us about the coin when it looks like it's putting in this little W right here, okay? This is where I want you guys to be. Hey, Brian, what do you think of this name here? On this day right there. See that? That's where we got to be informed. Right there. That is the level. Okay. Kevin says, oh yeah, I was going to mention it then. Okay. All right. So, and actually you can see they even left a gap right here. So you totally know at some point they're bringing this thing right back down. And Bodie, what do you think? Garrett, do we have gap theory working here? I saw a gap here, and I think there's another one here. We might get an exhausted gap up here somewhere. Okay, so long and short of it, we missed that one. DTB, let's see what we got here. And looks like another coin that's trying to find a bottom. These look like a lot of coins I've been buying recently. I don't mind taking shots against these lows, right? You can sort of see the logic in that. I do know there were a few people that were trying to hunt bullish block and trend continuation trades heading up through here. I think actually the reason why I bought it was this was a line in the sand. Yeah, I pulled the trigger the other day, like right here. I'm more than happy to be long. Actually, this cute little inside bar reversal there too. So this person here obviously is taking a lot of my trades. And you need to understand that I do a lot of bottom fishing, especially with the little old lady account. So I can see that you've turned into a bottom fisher too, whoever you are. Ooh, there's a cute name. That's not bad at all. LMC. Everybody can see the W. A little bit of a cheeky gap there. If you want to work a stink bid, that's not a bad level. Could have played this, higher highs, higher lows. Keeps making higher highs and higher lows. Woo! Big bump. Selling, selling, selling. I hope. Right now it's working its way back down. No sign of a W. We just had a moving average cross, so this thing's probably going to take some time to clean itself up. You might get into this kind of stuff here, right, where it probes lower and just trying to drive everybody crazy. So yeah, like I said, I like that little gap right there. That's the level. And hopefully, if you bought up top here, well. If you did buy up top here, guess what? You are officially what they call a bag holder. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing works its way back up. I know all of these names that I'm looking at here today, I don't really see any problems over the long term. It's just if you did buy the top ends of these ranges, you're just going to be sitting on these things for a while. I don't really see anything that looks totally problematic. Well, rinse and repeat, same shit, right? There's the double bottom. You can see the correction against the lows. I don't have a problem owning that. You're not watching this video if you bought up top. Probably not, eh? Well, but that's a sad thing, right? Is that there are some people that, that did buy this before they knew me. They might have heard me saying, hey, I'm interested in this ion, and they went and chased it up here. So, yeah, all of our site people, there's no way in hell we're buying on this kind of move, right? If anything, again, very typical scenario, you want to try and sneak in off a test to the low end of the range, totally fine by me. I see this rational investor clown keeps asking for this one coin that I think is just all hype. Anyway, all right, I will placate you. Where do you want to see this? You have an exchange of preference? Yeah, we're not allowed to use that word anymore, right? Coinbase. Well, the problem with Coinbase, that's the GDAX, isn't it? They got that stupid tail. Yeah, there it is there. I mean, what a mess. I showed that dash chart earlier, right? And I think that you could argue that this is right where dash was as it was moving down. Where the hell do I want to go? There's, right, as it was going through this. Like I said earlier, I think that dash is literally telling you what the crypto market is going to look like over the next 3 or 4 months. Does anybody see the similarities here? Do you see how dash is sort of ahead of everybody else? Julian, do you see that? So, well, because Dash really had a pretty aggressive marketing campaign. They actually had a spokesperson But it didn't look like some POW camp survivor. Have you ever seen the guy who runs this silly Ethereum? The guy, somebody buy him a sandwich. So, I would argue that Ethereum just looks like the way Dash looked like a couple months ago. And Dash sort of, if anything, it's sort of like it, and Hader here wrote that it was the first to go parabolic. If I'm ever in a POW camp, let me Amanda's apartment. But Amanda's gone now. Oh, I'm gonna miss that reference. That was funny. Funny thing is, I can't even really imagine what she looks like anymore. I haven't seen her in forever. But it was fun having that talking point, wasn't it? Wasn't it great? They just making jokes about that. It was just so awesome. It was. Yeah, I love. All of you guys know. I like to put a story with what I'm seeing in the market. I like to have fun. I like to. Amanda's apartment, you mean? I like to, make it as interactive as possible, right? Yeah, oh, do we? Oh, no. Oh, God. Better not make fun of her, eh? Jesus. Anyway, so, looking at this story, I mean, everybody here should see this. Casey, what do you think? You think I'm going to buy something like this here? No, we just call Shane a bitch. I'm just kidding. All right. So the point here, the point here, I would argue, Ethereum's just sort of caught in no man's land, right? And we have one site member who was aggressively shorting Ethereum up top here. And hats off to him. Well, it's a pretty good call. Can everybody see the M? I mean, this really doesn't get much more clear base. Can you see the M's? Or maybe what I should ask is, what letter of the alphabet do we see here? It's pretty straightforward, eh? W, no. We got big M, up, down, up, see you later. And then down, up, see you later. Down, up, see you later. See you later. Down, up, see you later. I mean, this is just M after M after M after M after M. For Amanda. I guess, I don't know. Conversely, right over here, we had cute little M. Okay, well, maybe we're going to fail. Come back against the moving averages. You see the beautiful W in here, Julian? Right? Breakout, and then higher highs, higher highs, higher highs, higher highs, higher highs, but then that's over. Yeah, and in fact, on the site, I was doing this kind of stuff. And this is what we've been talking about on the videos and stuff. I think what's happened here is we're rallied. This is Ethereum and US dollars on Kraken. This is, do you remember what this level is, Julian? Does anybody remember? What do we call this level here? Is it kind of important? I know it's a bit hard to see on this chart. If we move that over, can you see it now? Is that level kind of important to technicians? 38.2. It's first stop, right? So I think really that's what happened here. It just went smack-a-rooney and then just stalled. If anything, what you can see, which is kind of funny, is can you see how it came right back down to 38.2 on the downside? So we could say, if we remember, a couple months ago, we used to do this all the time. Can you see the cat GIF ping pong right now? 38.2 up here, 38.2 here. And Mr. Burchett just simply says you got to wait for this to resolve before you make any big decisions. Then I'm assuming that it breaks down. I don't know what it's going to do. So I kind of think that what ended up happening here, and I said this about a few coins earlier, they were just throwing the baby out with the bathwater here, right? Just everything must go. Liquidate, liquidate, liquidate. Can you see the divergence that developed? In fact, actually, our Europeans, we just did this. Shane, have you been working away on this? Can everybody see the divergence that developed here in our MACD histogram? That at this point basically said, I'm a lot stronger than you think I am. That's the whole point of the divergence. I am not nearly as weak as you think I am. I don't have any signs of bear divergence here, so we don't necessarily have to be like, oh, I'm actually weaker than you think I am. You can see that the volume impetus, right? The bulls actually started to wage their battle here. But we can actually see the bulls are starting to lose their inertia. Can you see, Shane, can you see the volume impetus sign that the bull appears to be running out of ammunition? Here, here, and then this one here did not go to new highs. And now look at these little successively lower highs, and now if this thing was so great, you know, all through here, why have the buyers just disappeared here? That's a little bit dangerous. I think because this 38.2 battle, if we see the bears step up and bring it, right, then I think this thing could get whacked again. And if you're like day trading, hunting bottoms, I thought it was really interesting. Look how close we came to Mountain Man level there. I don't know whether you saw that. This low is 173, and on this particular exchange, and keep in mind because they're all different exchanges, they all slightly different levels. This fib was drawn off of this nutso tail here. But I thought it was interesting. Notice that the 61.8 here is 170.77. So literally we came within like what, $2, $2.13, $2.23 of that big Mountain Man level. My hunch is on one of these exchanges that was hit. And that's what we're seeing here, bounce wise. Does that make sense? Well, I think we're up against a 45-degree angle here. This is 38.2. So really my upside expectations are done for now. I wouldn't be surprised if we have to do something along those lines like this. I would actually, you know, I'd like to see some sort of resolution of the 45-degree angle. If we can resolve up through there, then I think, you know, basically this becomes a Hoag's value play, 80% play. So, do you see how we're trying to accept into value here? Yeah, I know, it looks very similar, doesn't it? But here's value low, so you can see we're trying to accept into it. You know, if your 38.2 test resolves bullishly, Julian, then what I think it means is we have to go up to value high. You see that? And there is the reload short zone right up here. Oh, there's value high. There's 78.6. There's the original. Actually, that's the next GAN angle. So this is a really, really big battle. I wouldn't assume that the bulls are going to win this. And I couldn't justify taking a trade here. If anything, if we can get a nice little dip back into the reload zone against all these lows, that's when I might start getting interested. And I might take shots against these lows. But I don't know. Do you really need to be a hero on this thing? You know, you can see where the key pivot low is, 78.6 off of here. It's probably going to look as volatile as this, right? Remember, Thomas was in the lounge reciting one of my own old expressions. Whenever you see the market break through key support or break through key resistance and you're wondering what's going to happen next, look left. So you can see as we broke these lows, which was this low right in here, right? You had to look left, and the next key support level is down in here, right in that area. So, you know, if you, and you can see OBV, it still is pointing down. So, and also too on the profile, I mean, we're trying to accept back into value. It's interesting here. It's almost like we tested value low based off of this, and we couldn't accept below value. But do you notice how there's a big hole in the profile right here? I still think that we need to head down into this area. So, and I also think too, like I said, baby out with the bathwater. Things were just a little too ridiculous on the downside. It was interesting, you know, that silly. Now bulls trapped on the couch. Get the couch ready. Yeah, exactly. Eh? There's a bunch of people up here that I don't know whether they'll ever be released from the couch. They may be trapped there an awfully long time. Okay, what else do we want to do here? So, Mr. sent me a list. I think we went through a pretty big chunk of these. ION. Nasty M, but nonetheless, I do like the idea of just simply trying. Oh, yeah, remember we did look at this one. Yeah, if you want to take a, oh, look at these juicy gaps down here. I bet you I got bids working down here. So if you want to take a shot against these lows, I don't have a problem with that. I kind of think that the rally that they, them, those guys wanted, they got right here. And now we're after the fact. It's probably going to take some time to clean up. All right, CRV. What the hell is this? Another one. You know, looks like it's just out of the gate. At least this one didn't like. Well, actually, that's not a real print, is it? Sure wish these sites would clean themselves up. Yeah. So until we actually start seeing W's, right, this thing is still just correcting. I got a funny feeling you're going to get some sort of setup like this and some sort of counter trend rally. That's what I think's going to happen here. It looks like that. But it might just be a rally up into these, you know, wicks here. Might not be that big. And until we actually get a W in here, there's just not really much to say here. I don't mind taking nibbles, you know, and if you can buy down markets, you're thinking like an institution, get those sell half on a double orders working. I think you could get a double off there. I wouldn't be surprised here at 20 that you could get a double off on a test of these wicks up in here. Might be close. You might be able to get a double off there. But I don't really see any real signs that the bottom was in. If anything, I would have thought that this would have been the sign that it was ready to rally. The fact that on the other side of it, they brought it right back down against these lows and then broke it to new lows, that's not really a very good sign. Just means this thing just isn't ready. 11 million, not bad. 6 million market cap, a little bit steep. I hope they've got a story. It's not ridiculously heavy, not ridiculously light. It is listed on a few exchanges, so that's not so bad. IOP, oh, that one's a crater, eh? You got any news yet on IOP dramas? Let's see what that, I mean, here's probably a really, really great example where you can go in and try and bottom fish all day long. And at some point, you just got to say, you know what, enough's enough. I ain't buying anymore. I mean, I'm not at my 5% risk limit. The devs and Fermat, I'm not quite sure who Fermat is, but Fermat are fighting. All right, it's never a good sign. You know, if anything, all new people to trading. When I come on Coinigy and I click on this and I see this, that's got to be a bit of a warning sign. Fermat owns the trademark IOP. Oh, great, wonderful. Never a dull moment in this space, eh? I suppose the irony of it all is if you did come in and try and buy off these lows, which I did, and there's any sort of bullish resolution and we get a rally up into this area, guess what Brian's going to be doing? From what I understand, there's a fair amount of supply out on this thing. So again, I'm not really in a big hurry. And I did go on one of these shitcoin talk shows recently. and asked them their opinion, and they didn't even want to comment on this thing. They thought it was so shitty. That's never a good sign. This is where Sjord comes out and says, Brian, aren't you supposed to be the rational investor? Whatever the hell that happened to the fundamental analysis in all of this? If I was, placing some serious bets and putting some serious money on the line, then yeah, I think I probably would insist on being long where the insiders of the story are long and just simply go down with the insiders. I don't think we put a hell of a lot of money into this, so really I'm more than happy just to sit on this thing. But you guys need to understand, there were some doubles that I was booking there last month, a month or two ago, where I had been sitting on the coin for like literally a year, if not longer. And that's the irony of it all. Doubling your money in the stock market in 1 year, people are perfectly happy with that. In crypto, if it takes more than 2 or 3 months, people start to get really angry. Crazy world we live in. Do I think you could make money being long from down here if this thing survives? Then yeah, I think there's money to be made here. Is it pointing up right now? Rocket? Nope. I don't see anything going on here right now. Yeah. And of course, the irony of it all is if we look at the daily chart, we had some very encouraging signs through here. Nice rally, and then it just lost it. I don't know whether this tail is real. I don't think it is. I suppose at some point this thing should start looking like value. But if they don't post their damn numbers, how the hell do we know what value looks like? I think if anything, what I would say about this is just perfect example. This is what we call bottom fishing. Yeah. So taking some fishes against the bottom. Don't think we got any whales hooked yet. All right, what else does this gentleman have? OMNI. Well, I had a little bullish bot I was interested in, but that got busted, and I just got the hell out of there when this bot setup failed. Just walked. I was kind of hoping for a nice trend continuation trade, but just didn't pan out. So yeah, I was actually rather fortunate in here on this spike on right here. It tripped up this level. I don't know whether it was here or not, but it tripped up our stop level. Maybe it's on Polo. Omni. I looked at the right one here. Well, I guess that was it. I think maybe what happened was it like ran up and hit stop to break even level, came back to our break even level, and then I hopped at a small profit, I think. Maybe it was just a marginal profit. So nothing really to get too excited about here on the short term. If anything, what we want to see, right, is this is the stuff, right? Nice W's. Broke out, gave you a buy signal, consolidated, validated the buy signal, came back, consolidated again. They really set this trade up nicely. Here, nothing really to write home about. As I said, I tried to take a trend continuation trade here recently, but it failed. So I just walked away. If anything, here's probably a great example, 88.6. And you guys have heard me squawk about wicks and tails. Look at the size of this tail right in here. Just to bring price right back down against these lows. That's probably where she's ultimately heading. Nothing really to get too excited about there. INFX. Whew, that's interesting. Might have been some people who got some stink fills. I remember we were selling tons of this on the way up. Never really got back to putting bids back in, but I suppose you could argue that's probably not a bad level down in there. And I suppose if we do good old reload zones, right, there's 78.6 is right there. There's 88.6, interesting. Right against that 200 period moving average. So if anything, this is probably a really good analogy that if you have like a really, really wide bottom, then maybe you should stop eating fast food. I don't know. Anybody can pick up on that? um, this is sort of what we like to talk about with Kevin. Kevin loves this setup. Right, there's the 78.6 shark setup in here. Probably had to take a little bit of heat. You can see how it gyrated violently away from there. In fact, even bids down in here, you even got doubles off already. Jesus Christ. This thing's up and down like a horse drawers, eh? So, makes sense. Guys that were working bids against this original structure, they already got paid. Already. Can't hear now. I'm having internet issues. Oh, okay. Actually, I'm seeing everybody right across the board is having internet issues. All over the place. I'm hearing about it all day long. Tried to watch that Humphrey Hawkins testimony earlier this morning, and half of it was just like, And I had to change the solar flares. I heard that there's supposed to be some crazy, I don't know. Do you guys ever see that crop circle thing that I put down that's in the middle of July? There's supposed to be some sort of big thing supposed to happen in the middle of July. So where is that? That's got to be like any day now, right? Oh, yeah, coming up. Coming up soon. Options expiry next Friday. NSA has your number. They have my number, but what the hell do they do with it? Right, Jordan, no kidding. Net neutrality day. What does that mean, net neutrality? I don't even know what that is. Solar eclipse in mid-July? Is that what's coming? No. Anyway, I think that people that did work stink bids down in appropriate locations, not bad at all. And wicks and tails like to be eaten. I wouldn't be surprised there's a nice rally back up in here some point down the road. Okay. Well, another one, probably Brian's in here buying. I love to buy against these lows. I get the distinct feeling, and I sure hope this gentleman didn't buy up here. That would be foolish. Buys against the bottom end of the range, little old lady style, perfectly fine. Set your orders to sell half on a double, set it and forget it, and go and enjoy life. GRC. Ooh, that's cute, trade. Sure hope you bought here recently. Oh, I love this location. We talked about wicks and tails. Look at that juicy tail right in there. These tails, juicy gap right there. Oh, I like that. Nice looking buy level. I don't see a lot of these as pound the table buys. These are all just sort of, all right, they back the market up into a buy level. So, eyes in their bidding. This one was an interesting one because when we left off yesterday, this thing looked like it was just on its knees. And then I noticed today they just rallied it smartly right back up into the 200-period moving average. I don't know whether this thing's ready to break in earnest or not. I still think it looks to me, especially by the way they played it today, still looks to me like this is some sort of bottom end of the range down in here. Full disclosure, we were filled on an order yesterday somewhere in this area, so we're actually above water now. Based on this initial candle, I'm not really in any hurry here. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. The fact that there is this monster wick up there leads me to almost, guarantee that price is going to work its way back up into this area at some point. So I don't mind buying that one. Little old lady style, totally awesome. Be interesting to watch momentum in here. You might get a really powerful reversal. Watch your momentum indicators if that can turn back up through there. It's funny how I did that steep. Let's try that again. Probably gonna look like that. All right, so if it can hold these lows and then turn back up here, then that's gonna be pound the table. Right now, just some bottom fishing. Nothing more, nothing less. BCY. Actually, I really like this one. I think we bought some more of this recently. I love buying against bottom ends of ranges. This is like NAUT, those kind of trades. Love that. I don't know where you bought. That's the problem, but I have no problem being long this name. And this is basically where we got filled yesterday. So I don't have a problem being long that name at all. Did we look at that one? I think we already looked at that one. Oh, there's another one that I just bought. I got a funny feeling this guy's riding my coattails. Careful riding Brian's coattails too much. I remember I've told everybody this repeatedly. I don't want robots. Robots are useless. I want you independently thinking on your own. So when you're watching this video later on and you know who I'm talking to, try to refrain from the robot behavior. If it means you have to put your wallet back on your hip pocket until you can learn how to do this, the process, risk management, really identifying who you are and the type of risk taker you are, and then understanding setups and learning what trade setups actually look like and learning what kind of setup appeals to you. Well, that's fine. So exactly what I'm talking about. What appeals to you, Center? Center, I think we've, you and I talked a little bit. You have a little bit of experience under your belt. Anyway, the point of the matter here is, everybody hopefully can see the weekly bottom, right? You can see even the cute little daily double bottoms stabs against these lows. Anytime I see a chart like this, I am going to go in and bid against these lows every day of the week. You know I am. It's just the way that I like to run the little old lady portfolio. Could we spend a few months here probing lower before we actually put in a W and say, yep, we're heading higher? Absolutely. I'm not in any hurry here whatsoever. And frankly, I like the name. I would just sit and just let your money work. GRC. Didn't we already look at that one? Yeah, I like that buy. Nice location. Sexy. Sexalicious. XAUR, we looked at that, we looked at that. XZC. Not bad location. Right? I don't mind being a buyer down here. Perfectly fine. Could we have to go through a bit more pain? You can see where the original double bottom is. There's the level there, right? And I think if I'm not mistaken, I think we were buyers through here. So could we still see a bit more weakness here? Sure. I do like the fact that there is this W here. There's a bit of a gap right there. So that's been stabbed into. It hasn't been filled yet. This is crypto. I wouldn't be surprised if they have to run these lows, maybe trade into this tail or this tail. Maybe, I don't know, there's some gaps in there. So don't be shocked if this thing has to come down and play in here for a while. That really wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah, pretty much, eh? But this gentleman has been very patient and he's been very polite, so I thought I would take the time and placate him here today. Made? I really like this Made. This is my trading bread and butter. I remember I was quite aggravated through about a month or so ago when everything was ripping up. I wanted to buy more of this, and I just simply couldn't. So I had to, identify where reload zones were. You can see this nice juicy tail in here. And I had to work my bids and just be damn patient. And that's exactly what happened, and I just got filled. Merry Christmas. So actually, I'm very happy with this fill. I wanted to add to this name, and I was nice and patient. I waited for my level, and I got my fill. So I was pretty happy about that. I gotta tell you, this SBD, man, what a nightmare this stupid thing has been. I mean, this thing has basically been a total fail. If somebody was actually touting this as a an asset that you could actually buy that was going to maintain its value no matter what. It's just an outright lie. It's a shame. And I suppose one could argue, like, you remember these wicks here, right? These are these silly pump groups get a hold of these coins and they totally manipulate them. And kind of like we said, remember that crazy guy, his coin, which one was it? All of them? Oh, wait a minute. Now that AGRS, yeah. After you get a pump, we may have to go through a distribution phase where you have to get all of these clowns that bought on the way up here. You've got to get them out, and that's what this is. They're just washing the market out of all these idiots that bought up here. But the problem is that I believe the story, right? And I told you, what did I say? Are there any actual quote-unquote crypto experts out there? Does anybody actually know what the fuck is going on here? Anybody? I don't think so. Anyway, so take it all with a grain of salt, right? We're speculators. This is an extremely speculative space, no doubt about it. Oh, great. I'm afraid to click on that link, Shane. This is an extremely speculative space. Don't believe anything. Seriously, guys, don't believe anything. I like to use technical analysis tools to weed out people's opinions. You know what I think about people's opinions. I think a lot of this is it's hype. It's, circle jerk kind of talk. A little disappointing. I think about a grand total of, let's see, 4 would be 10, so 0.4 would be 1. So we put in about 2.5% of our stake into this coin. I'm not really in a big hurry to liquidate it. I'm not a motivated seller. If I need to come up with money, I can find lots of different places to generate money. I'm frankly speaking, I'm angry at the fact that they sell this thing as one thing, but it's a total fraud. Sucks, but it's brutal reality. What am I doing with this thing now? Like I said, I don't have to sell. So if I don't have to sell, and we're nowhere near 5% risk, oh my God, what are you doing, Brian? You want to put our portfolio into jeopardy. So I'm just going to manage this position. I feel very comfortable that we will at least see our scratch level because I loaded up all through sort of this period here. But frankly speaking, I mean, with Bitcoin going down here, this thing is a total and complete fail. It has basically not done what it said it was supposed to do. So there's my opinion about that. Probably the most opinionated opinion you will get out of me because frankly speaking, I bought the story hook, line, and sinker, and they just made a chump out of me, which pisses me off to no end. Wings. Geez, I think that's another one that I bought recently. For new traders, might be a bit early. Do we have enough history here to really find any W's yet? If I zoom in, right, and adjust the scale, that is a 0 print again. I think you can see the double bottom, and actually not a half bad weekly bottom here. We could take a chance, and guess what, guys? That's exactly what I did. Not a big bite, really, really small bite. But you can see the little gap right here, and you can see the structure, and you can see the lows, and you can see, oh, well, it makes sense why Brian's nibbling here. What's the trend? Moving averages crossed bearish there a while ago. We've broken to new lows here. So, it still looks to me like the trend is down in the short term. We're just coming back into support here. For us to really believe that this thing's bottom, we got to see a W. Until we see that, this thing's still considered like a bottom fish. At the same time, you can see how close we are. We might confirm a nice little inside bar here, a nice little fractal. And that's 14,000, so that means double is up in this 28,000 area. That's not totally unrealistic. So I think that's doable. Right? If you bought up here, you're going to be holding for a little while. GBG. There's actually a name I haven't seen before. It's good to see that he's got some of his own. Geez, not much to get excited about here. You know, coming against kilos, not bad. A little bit of a structural failure here, so not encouraging to see us go through those lows. Munches, ooh, there's a juicy little tail right in there. Okay, we're going to do this right. There we go. Uh-oh. Everybody see this little gap right here? So, oh, and isn't that interesting? Look how that's right into this tail and the gap. So if anything, I'll tell you what, Mr. Anonymous. I think I'll go throw a bid in here and join you at 2,600 sats, 2,500 and change. That's not a bad level. Actually, you know, like all of our audience, you guys would probably be interested in this. Something popped? What popped? This GBG? ETC. Oh, I know ETC. Cheeky bugger. I was looking at that earlier today with a gentleman. Doesn't look like it's moved too much here. We had talked about the bot level there, and I had suggested to him, because this range was so wide, that I needed to get a nice pullback into the reload zone here to join them. Is it popping on other exchanges? No, just sitting there. How about Polo? I like to mess around with this thing. Yeah, just sitting there. Cute little doji there. Doji, 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 doji. Okay, STORJ. That one was just reorganized, eh? So it's just come out of the gate. We'll give that some time to breathe. SLR. Now, this should be interesting because this one was acting really interesting, but never really got going. Yeah. You know, same sort of thing. You can see the gap in here. I think Brian was a buyer through here. Damn interesting level, no doubt about it. The only issue here is how big is the market cap here. If the market is a bazillion gazillion dollars, it could be in trouble. 5 million, that's not bad. Nice respectable number, 35 million now. It's not bad. In fact, I seem to remember that Jamie and we've talked about this at length. So this, in my opinion, this is a perfectly fine name to just sit in here and just let your money work. It might have to come back down. You see that cheeky little tail there. It might have to come down here a bit. That wouldn't surprise me. This is venture capital, guys. Totally normal. Where is everyone making coin requests? Oh, they aren't tonight, bud. I'm just going through a list somebody asked me to look at. I'm really tired. I don't really feel like working a hell of a lot here. So I'm just going through this list and just telling this gentleman, and really all of you guys, where I'd be buying these things. So that's about the extent of it, Jeremy. Jeremy Skiro. That looks like new. Are you relatively new to the site? So anyway, if you are, welcome. Okay, where are we here? BTC. Oh, not interesting. I won't comment on that. ENRG. This is another one where we were, oh, you're 1 month young. Well, way to go, bud. Congratulations. Holy Jesus, look at that. So this one, we just, I mean, it was just embarrassing how many doubles we booked here. It just kept happening over and over and over and over and over. you know, if anything, this is a perfect analogy of this story's over. It's done. If you didn't make your money already, where the hell were you? I don't mind going and buying back coins off of stabs against this low end of the range here. But my hunch is this thing's going to take now a long time to clean itself up. Right there was the rally. And, you know, counter trend rallies, I could easily see us come back up. This wick here is probably going to act as a barrier for quite some time going forward. So, you know, where are we here? We're at 3,000. The good part about that is that 8,000. I think you should be able to get doubles off here, but don't be in a big hurry. Yeah, I really wouldn't be in a big hurry to buy this back. I haven't bought any of it back. I think it's going to take some time to clean up. Sure hope you got doubles off there because that was ridiculous. We got like 6 or 7 doubles off on that thing. IOP, we looked at that piece of wonderfulness. Probably best just to leave that alone for the time being. LTC versus Bitcoin. Interestingly enough, I actually think of all the names in the crypto space that could outperform, Litecoin is one of them. And we've been talking at length through the day about Litecoin. I actually have, you know, we had a previous bullish bot set up and we hit stop to trailing levels, and I just simply hopped when we started showing this bearish structure in here. Market dumped, rallied back, dumped again. Can you guys see how this newest bot is now setting up, basically off of the same trade level? And so with regard to Litecoin, I've actually suggested that if we get back down into this reload zone, trading along this trend line, any kind of W market structure, candle signal, fractal, anything, I think I'm going to take it. So I'm more than happy to take bot setup, be more than happy to live with the results. If this is Shane's camel and it decides to break these lows, then you know what Brian will do. He'll be gonzoed. But the trade hasn't really set up yet. In fact, we just put in a fractal top. So I'm not really in any big hurry. You can see it's making lower lows. We're battling this little quick uptrend line right now. My hunch is that'll be lost, and then we'll just work our way back down to the reload zone. And then if we start putting in some half-decent structure here, then I reckon you got yourself a trade. All right, EXCL. This one, a little bit of a disappointment for us on this one. Huge rally, baboosh. All right, nice little double bottom. This one, I mean, really, I would argue they haven't started to take this one apart yet. You know, if you are long from down this area and you're dying 1,000 deaths on some of these others, frankly speaking, you know, Mister, I am looking through the list here. If you bought these names where I bought them, I would just leave everything alone. I don't see anything that really should be touched. This kind of name, though, if if you're looking for places, hey, you know, obviously the market's come down. I want to raise some capital. This is the kind of name where you could raise some capital and just walk away unscathed and then hopefully book a pretty nice profit. All right. Bye, Keith. I guess he's gone. Rest B, thanks for extra effort tonight. Cheers. All right. Take it easy. Storage, and that's it. Okay. So hopefully, sir, that addresses most of your names. In fact, the only one that I would think about selling on the entire list is this one. Maybe take some profits and square up the balance sheet a little bit. All right, you guys here in the lounge have been very patient, and I don't think there's anybody watching on YouTube or anything, so I don't really have to worry about that. So do you guys, you're all welcome to throw in a name if you'd like to look at something that we haven't looked at yet. CHC, yeah, we looked at that. It's gone. Dash and PIVX, looking interesting, but nothing really to write home about yet. The community has formed to agree to buy and hold it to provide some stability during the volatile times. People consider these masternode coins more stable. Oh, okay. Well, that, maybe that makes sense. Okay, Adrian's asked us to look at DAR. Oh man, Google punted me near the end and I couldn't get back in. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate the extra show. They're always great. Really? I wonder why. There it is. DAR, right? Somebody asked for DAR. DAR. Oh boy. Do we see any sort of letters of the alphabet here? Yeah. If you don't see this, maybe it's a good idea to change this to a line chart. Watch what happens here, Adrian. Boosh. Love W's. Love W's. Love W's. Don't you love W? Nah, I don't like these M's. Yuck. So, if anything, what I think here is your coin now has a nice trading range. Top of the range. I'm not quite sure what happened here, but let's just assume for this conversation, bottom end of the range. So this is the kind of scenario where, speaking of internet issues, sweet, I'm back. Hey, Center, nice to see you made it back. I think if anything, this thing's sort of caught in the middle of the range. Did you notice, Adrian? And, try and use these as little helpers. You see how there's a hole in the chart right here? This is what we call a gap. So that was sort of an interesting, how that's almost exactly 50% of that range, eh? So this is, if anything, it's almost like this gap is like the line of demarcation, where this is one story and this is another story. So, and it's interesting, whatever the story was, if you want to go and figure out what the fundamental drivers are, what was the news that was driving this thing right through here? All of these coins have fundamental drivers. So what was the fundamental driver on the 15th of April to launch this thing higher here? Whatever that story is, they came back and checked it. Came back and checked it. And now we're finally losing it. And now what's interesting is, you notice we lost it. And then we came back, and now we're testing it from the underside. Have you ever heard of the expression, what once was support is now resistance? What was once resistance is now support. So this scenario here is, I think this was support. And now, unfortunately, and we'll see. I mean, maybe it can get its butt back up here. But if it sort of finishes like this, and then this is what we call an inside bar. If we actually finish the day here, and keep in mind this day just started, right? So it's going to be 24 hours from now. But if we finish the day like this and then move through this low, that's an inside bar failure, and that's a sell signal. So if anything, it's really cool. You have actually pretty well-defined bull-bear battle lines here. We know that this is the historical support and resistance. This is the level that they're fighting with. You can see that if they recapture this high, the bull wins, and this now becomes support again. If we finish this day and then put in a fractal fail, inside bar fail, then it means the bear's taken over, and this now becomes resistance. That make sense? Probably not the answer you wanted to hear, eh? Half the time it's a bit dangerous asking for symbols reviews. And Max obviously didn't like to hear that, decided that I shouldn't speak anymore. And now Max seems to be pretty proud of himself. Okay, what else we got here? PASC. You remember this thing used to be so popular. Everybody was in love with this thing. You remember that, guys? Man, oh my God, people were just absolutely in love with this thing. I don't really see much to get excited about here. I think probably top end of the range, all right? Bottom end of the range, and is that 0? I'll get it some, at least on some 0. I hate when they do that. So, do you see where the playground is? That, my friend, is the playground. Actually, we could probably go off of that right there. The playground. Pretty wide playground, eh? That's probably a good example of range traders. You can see where the reload zone is, right down in here. So at least we're coming into a respectable area. That's a bit of a relief, eh? Nice little original double bottom right down in here. So this is where those guys, them, put the original bottom in. So interesting battle right on that level as well. Yeah, interesting idea. You're definitely, you know what I like about this is you're not walking into a trap. I find in speculating and playing the stock market, it's really no difference. That yawn is contagious. Sorry, Chief. It's been a very, very long day for me. I've basically been going about too many hours straight here. So anyway, sorry. Well, why don't we wrap it up here? Eh? This is the last one, wasn't it? Yeah. So. Double bottom, reload zone. Willie is officially stupid. No sign of a momentum divergence, though. Encouraging to see. Can everybody see how OBV just keeps going up here? So it's not like there's a real mad rush to the exit here. This is drifting lower here on almost no volume. It's not a bad idea. If we got a nice little, I mean, I guess you could trade the fractal. It's not really pretty. If anything, if you got a nice little test of these lows again, I might take a real good look at like 1 hour reload zone or something. Hello. That's interesting. All right, so you can see how the reload zone lines up nicely. And look at that. Looks like there's even a cheeky little gap right there. A couple gaps right there. Work your bids. Look at that nice little tail right there. Although you'd be trying to, like thread a needle getting filled off of there. I think if you wanted to be a buyer anywhere down in here is probably fine. If anything, you got to wait for these momentum signals to bottom. But again, look at the OBV. OBV's actually got a bottom marking. So probably see it come back against 38.2, then maybe something like a head and shoulders. Doot, 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 like that. Which will probably set up the move down into the reload zone. All right, so there you go. Actually, it's an interesting note to leave on. Not a bad little trade idea for you guys to chew on here. Okay, everybody's telling me to go to sleep, so I think we'll probably leave the show at that. I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. Kind of a different bent. As you can see, I'm not all chipper. I got to go to bed and get my spring in my step back. So I think we'll leave it at that. I'll maybe just post the video in the lounge. Shane, I can't wait for your platform. I'm actually looking forward to it because I'm so sick and tired of not looking at these coins with no damn volume profile. So every time I look at one of these coinage charts, I'm thinking about your platform. And I was sitting there this morning going, Wouldn't it be so cool to have like a whole list of coins just like that right down the left-hand margin where I could just click, 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 and just go through and look at them? You know, Coinagy's never got off its fucking ass about that, which really irritates me because I've given them about 4 or 5 jobs that traders really need, and they haven't done any of them. So I'm telling you, Shane, you put that platform together, you might just become my new best friend. All right, guys, I think we'll leave it at that for today. Have yourselves an awesome rest of your day, afternoon, evening. Hopefully I've given you a few ideas to chew on. Frankly speaking, Mr. Gentleman who wanted me to look at these coins, if you bought the coins at my levels, I don't see anything wrong with any of the trades at all. There were a couple coins that I saw up top. If you're looking to generate some trading capital, fine. But you know, if you're just riding my coattails and taking the trades that I'm taking, I'm not stressed about any of my buys whatsoever. So, all right, I think I'll leave it at that. Have yourselves a great evening, everybody. All the best. Bye for now.